ask you something. You know, I always have a question at the beginning of these things, right? Have you ever heard, I'm not good at math, or I'll never get this, or my brain doesn't work like that, or I am not a science person? Have you ever heard that from your classmates, or have you ever even said those words to yourself? Well, what if I told you that your brain can literally grow and change based on how you learn, practice, and think? So today we're going to be diving into the science behind learning and how to learn better, which is brain plasticity. So don't worry, I'm going to break it down to you in a fun and easy to understand way. Plus, I'm also going to be sharing with you some science-backed study habits that actually work. Believe me, I have tried them. So let's get into it. Welcome to Gracefully Growing, the podcast that provides you with real talk, real growth, and real life tools to help you thrive in school and in life. Hello, I'm Dr. Kemi. I am an educator and mom to the most amazing, almost 13-year-old that you will ever meet. I am also an author, speaker, as well as a gratitude advocate. And I'm so excited that you are continuing on this journey with me as we explore the 5 key principles that will guide you to a fulfilling life. And these 5 key principles are gratitude, reflection, affirmation, connection, as well as empathy. So those are the 5 key principles. I'm going to link my episodes where I delved into these 5 key principles below. So, are you ready? Let's go ahead and grab your notebook or your gratitude journal. If you don't have a gratitude journal, I've created an affirmation gratitude journal, and I'm going to link that in the box below. Or you can open your notes app on your phone and let's grow together. So, today's episode is going to emphasize 3 out of the 5 principles. And the 3 that we're going to emphasize today are gratitude, reflection, as well as affirmations. So, here is the 411, or here's the T on brain plasticity, or we call that neuroplasticity. Brain plasticity simply means that your brain can grow. It can change and form new connections, not just when you're a baby, but this happens throughout your entire life. Like your brain continues to grow. So, and how does this happen? So, every time you learn something new, every time you're able to solve a problem or even make a mistake and you try again, your brain is building new neural pathways. And it's like, so this is like giving your brain a workout at the gym. Brain gym, right? The more you practice something, the stronger those brain pathways then become, just like a muscle. So, yes, you can train your brain to get better at anything: math, writing, public speaking, science. Even you can train your brains to manage your emotions. The brain is a very, very, very powerful tool. So, here's an affirmation for you before we continue. Repeat after me. Every time I learn, I grow. My brain is powerful, flexible, and full of potential. You got that? Very good. So let's tap into the R in grace. Today we're going to talk about reflection. How do you learn best? So I want you to take a second and ask yourself, what's one subject or skill that you've gotten better at over time? Like you didn't used to like this subject, but now you've gotten better. Do you remember what helped you to improve? What helped you to improve? Was it practice? Was it asking questions? Was it asking for help? Was it going on YouTube and watching videos? Was it explaining it to a friend? What helped you to improve? Do you remember? And then finally, how did you feel when you realized that you could actually do it? Did you feel like, oh my God, I can do this? Or whoa, I can actually do this? That's what I want you to think about as we learn about how your brain actually works and teach you how to learn better. So in your journal, remember the goal that we set at the beginning. This was many weeks ago now. I want you to write down one thing that you are proud of learning on your way to achieving that goal and how you got better at it. Because what happens is reflection helps you to see that your brain is growing in real time. When you pause and reflect on your journey, it allows you to see that your brain is actually growing. You see that brain growth in real time, in actual time. So have you got your do you have your information down? Very good. So now let's dive into some study habits that work with your brain. I'm going to provide you with 5 study tips that align with how your brain actually likes to learn. The first tip is spaced repetition. So what this means is instead of cramming the night before, who used to do that? Me. I still do it sometimes, even though I know better. I want you to break down your study sessions into smaller chunks over several days. So, for example, if you know you have a test on Friday, you want to break down your study time into small chunks, maybe do 15 to 20 minutes every day of study, depending upon how big the material is. I used to tell people, my attention span is about 15, maybe 20 minutes long. When I'm studying. Now, when I'm reading something that excites me, oh, I could read for hours. Or if I'm watching a movie, I can stay there and watch movies after movies after movies. But when it comes to studying, y'all, 15 to 20 minutes. That's about it. So that's how I used to study. Now, why does this work? It works because your brain remembers more when it's exposed to information repeatedly over time. Let me repeat why that works. It works because your brain remembers more when it is exposed to information repeatedly over time. That's why you don't want to study the night before. That's why you don't want to cram information in your brain the night before a test. Number 2, retrieval practice. This is simply just quizzing yourself, or you could teach the information to someone else without using your notes. My favorite way to learn is to learn something and then teach it to somebody else. Once you're able to teach something to somebody else, it sticks in your brain. Now, why does this work? Recalling information strengthens your brain's ability to hold on to it. Because remember, when you're teaching it to somebody, you have to recall it in order for you to be able to teach it to somebody else. Number 3, interleaving. Switch things up. Study different subjects or types of problems in one session. So I used to, let's say I have multiple tests, I would maybe look at test number one, or maybe if it was math and a science, I would review my math and then I would move on to my science, or vice versa, right? Or if I was doing all math, I wouldn't keep practicing the same types of problems over and over. I would change the types of math problems that I try to solve. Now, why this works is because your brain learns to recognize patterns and apply skills flexibly. That's why that works. Number 4, this is my favorite one. I am the queen of flashcards, mnemonic devices, and mind maps. I love to create word associations when I'm trying to study, especially if it's something that is a list. For example, when I was learning about the solar system, I made a mnemonic device, and it helped me to remember the solar system and how everything was aligned in the solar system, how all the planets were aligned. Or you could walk around while reviewing your notes. Now, this works because movement and visuals activate different parts of your brain, and that helps learning to stick in your brain. I'm going to go back to mnemonic devices. I will make something into a song in a heartbeat, and it helps me to remember. It helps me to remember. And if you don't know what a mnemonic device is it it's when you make up words, or you make up a song, or you make up a phrase that would help you to remember something. That's what a mnemonic device is. And it helps to keep the stuff, it helps your brain to remember better. Some people don't like mnemonic devices. I like mnemonic devices. Number 5, your brain needs to restore. Your brain needs to rest. So number 5 is sleep as well as breaks. Your brain needs to rest in order to store and process what you have learned. When my son was much younger and he would not go to sleep, I taught him that in order for his brain to store the information he had learned that day and convert it to long-term memory, he had to go to sleep. Now, imagine trying to tell a 3-year-old this. Surprisingly, he understood and it worked. But seriously, this works because while you are sleeping, your brain strengthens memory and clears your mental clutter. And it allows information to be moved from your short-term memory to your long-term memory. So let's try this affirmation. Repeat after me. I don't have to study harder. I can study smarter. My brain is ready to learn in powerful ways. You got that affirmation down? Very good. So every time you learn something new, or you're solving a problem, your brain is creating new connections and new pathways. Now, let's talk about the G in GRACE. Gratitude for growth. So I want us to pause for a moment and thank your brain. Yep, say it out loud if you want to. Thank you, brain, for growing with me. Thank you for showing up, even on tough days. We got to thank our brain. You got to thank your brain. Gratitude helps to reduce stress, I told you in my very, very second episode, and it allows you to focus. I call it focusing on your focus. It allows you to focus. It boosts your focus and it rewires your brain to be more positive and to be more open to learning. So, all right, here's your challenge for this week. I want you to try one brain-based study technique. Is it spaced repetition? Is it retrieval practice? Is it interleaving that you want to practice? Or is it visuals and movement? Is it taking breaks? Or is it committing to making sure that you're getting adequate sleep, adequate rest? You will be amazed at how important it is that it helps your brain and helps you study when you get adequate rest. Then I want you to reflect. What did you try? And how did it feel different from your usual way of studying? Did it help you to understand or remember better? As a bonus, find someone that you could share this information with. Find someone you can share this information with. Or share it on social media with the hashtag Gratefully Growing Podcast. I would love to hear from you. So remember, you are not stuck with the brain that you're born with. You are building it every day with every choice you make. So I'm going to encourage you, study smart, stay curious, and trust the science because your brain is rooting for you. Thanks for tuning in to Gracefully Growing Podcast with me today. And I'll see you next time. Remember, your brain is not fixed. You are not finished and you are just getting started. Until next week, stay graceful, stay growing. You've got this. And that's a wrap for today's episode of Gracefully Growing. Thank you so much for tuning in and growing with me. Remember, living with grace means showing gratitude, taking the time for reflection, speaking powerful affirmations, building strong connections, and practicing daily empathy with yourself and others. If today's episode gave you something to think about, inspired you, or made you smile, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss an episode. You can also download today's free resource in the show notes and join our Gracefully Growing community on social media for more tools, encouragement, and real talk. Until next time, keep showing up for yourself, keep growing, and most of all, keep living with grace. I am Dr. Kemi. See you next week.